I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before. Though, I really don't think I want to play any after the experience I had with one such game in particular. Now, this all started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. Now, I liked how you got to explore the towns in it. But anyway, after playing a bit more, I noticed out of my peripheral vision that the mailman arrived and put something in my mailbox. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing he put in there was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend, let's just call him Kyle, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting. Though the weird part is the way his handwriting looked. It looks badly written, scratchy, and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did so in a hurry. And this is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late. And I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. And if you destroy the CD, he'll stop. But if you don't, he'll come after you too. Tom, he's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's far too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick. Otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even think about playing the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy the game, and you'll destroy him. Please, Tom. Please. That was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? God. I was so wrong. But anyway, I looked at the disc and it looks like an ordinary computer CDR disc, except it had a black marker on it written Sonic.exe. It was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I am a big Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. Awesome! Because like I said earlier, I did like the classics. First thing I noticed that was out of place when I pressed start was there was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like a split second before the game cut to black. The sky darkened. The title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666. Water turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. The freakiest thing of all was in that split-second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with 2 glowing red dots, staring right at me. And his smile would stretch wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about it when I saw the image. though I'd figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. Then another weird thing happened. The save file from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up. The fuck? What is this doing in the first Sonic game? But anyway, I noticed something else was off. The background was a dark, cloudy sky of the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD. And there were only 3 save files. Music was that of Creepy Caverns of Winter from the music in Earthbound. It was only extended and seemed to have been a reverse. And the image for the save file, where you see a preview of the level you're on, is just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure something was up. I mean, how could you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game? This was immensely out of place. That's when I realized this game wasn't glitchy. It was hacked. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least I tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hack game and there's nothing wrong with that. But anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked File 1 and chose Tails when I selected and got started. The game froze for about 5 seconds. I heard a creepy, pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for 10 seconds more. Then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill, Act 1. The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow, deep tones as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and stopped where I was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I never saw him have before. So I had to move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals. As Tails moved past them, he kept looking more and more worried, and the music lowered as he moved past more of them. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody had killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree, and what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed, after the music had stopped, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back to Tails, and his eyes closed. Tails seemed happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make a move, so this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard a faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder and louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like the title image. Though there wasn't a smile this time. When that happened, the screen turned black, and the static came off. It stayed black for about 7 more seconds, then white text appeared forming a message, saying, "Hello. Do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out, and I didn't want to continue with the game. But my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level with the title now stating, "Hide and Seek." This time I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. Now this scared me. I mean, Tails was breaking the fourth wall. He was actually trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could. And a pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from SA2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds have passed as I helped Tails run through the forest, I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen. Again with those black, red, demon-like eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running. Oh no, he was actually flying. The pose his sprite was making was very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic, aside from the black and red eyes. Only this time he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked like he was actually enjoying the torment he was imposing on this poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped into another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to streak down Sonic's cheeks, and it was coming from those blackened eyes, and his grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. And in just a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black, and there was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" Followed by that god-awful laugh. I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? He couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook off the shock and was brought back to the character select. The save file had Tails in it, but he was different. He was no longer in the box itself, but the TV screen, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding, and his orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run!" I was really freaked out now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick, twisted joke. Or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing.